I share drama today. I'd like to say hello to everyone here. Yeah, it's a third day. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Every 3 days I see you guys, and it seems like we have spent quite a long time together. So at the last PPT, I left my phone number and email address. If you have any question regarding 3 days of this lecture, and if you are curious about anything, maybe including the life in Korea, you can send me an email or the WhatsApp, and I will certainly share information with you guys. Okay. While I'm waiting, I'm now sharing the screen for the purpose of CCTV use in Korea. Okay. Okay, I'm running the drama through the Netflix, which I paid. Sorry, it's subtitled in Korean.
Professor. Professor?
Yeah.
The video don't have a sound.
Oh, the sound. It has a sound, but I don't think it is kind of shared with you. It is on.
Ah, okay.
Let me yeah, have it. Since you understand Korean language, I think you want to hear too. Yeah. Yes. Sorry for the. Yeah, it is a speaker. Yeah. Then 1 more minute. Okay, so I think you didn't hear the sound of the drama, but of course you have watched it the screen. So this is how um, people can use the CCTV. The example of this is the one of the sons, no, two of the sons of the rich guy, the company owner, made not nice activity outside of street, but they could kind of control through the use of CCTV. It because the CCTV is on the public, the company itself can hire people to use the CCTV. So having those information uh, through the use of drone and CCTV is not 100% prohibited by law. So the example I have shown you is individual using the public CCTV. It is even common and it is possible now. So we are also changing the laws regarding the CCTVs. Still, it's ongoing and developing process. Okay. So next one I'm going to share is my presentation today. Um, this one is wrapping up for the privacy we have discussed, and also the intellectual property that anybody and in one country can develop. And the issue and topic today is a data governance in trade and life, because it affects our life every day. I'm going to discuss data governance. I'd like you to point data governance and follow up whatever the international society is discussing about the data governance. You regularly search Google typing data governance, and please follow up what's going on here. Okay, so data governance is like this big donut shape. Data architecture, data modeling, and data design, data storage, data security. We just saw the data security and data integration, document contents reference, data warehouse, metadata, and data quality. These are the components of data governance. Here, data governance is a term used on both macro and in a micro level. The former is a political concept, so your government will soon talk about the data governance, and data governance issue will be headlined in Indonesia as well. And even the title will not be the data governance. It could be the part of data architecture, data security, data integration, data trade, paperless trade, which is the data trade. And those are the things, themes, topic, keyword it will be governing in 20 years from now on. So you should be able to recognize what the government is trying to get it from the international society, and you should know those information ahead of the government. So that's why this lecture will give you a little bit of an insight what you have to look into in newspapers. Okay. Here, the former is a political concept. So I just said the politician will be interested in talking about data governance. Okay. And next thing is, and this one will form international relations. And we have talked about China and US relations. Why are they fighting? Because of the data. And sharing the data, having the data will be the number one PowerPoint in international society. That is why US and China is fighting over the company and also 5G. And last month, LG have succeeded, not 5G, they have succeeded 6G, transferring, sending the electronic signal passing through the structure of the building. That means that that's why you can have a Wi-Fi at the subway in Korea. If you have a 6G, the island, the residents in Ireland can have a Wi-Fi when the away the place have the setting of the telecommunication service. That's why this data sharing and data is a big concern of every country now. And second is also because the politicians are interested, also companies are interested in data. Data is a really, really big concept. And this is expensive than gold. So why people are interested? Because it will become the source of the data, source of the money. Okay, and data management concept and forms part of corporate data governance. So company will be having more of a business relating to the data, and this will lead our next life, which means next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years will be having economic activities surrounding the data. So far, comparing to the future future generation, so far we have worked and interested in having here, for example, goods. This is a good, right? I have wearing a clothes. I have to go to the department store. I pay. They give me this product. I wear it. This is part of a good trading, and also I got a service. But next generation, this will be more of the electronic service, and this is the issue of today. Okay, here regarding the data, the industry had changed from the content to the last one here. The starting point is the content right. At the beginning, we didn't know what to protect. So we have started with the intellectual property right, WTO TRIPS, video, audio, books, and gaming, other contents, educational content. And these, like newspaper companies, BBC, Vivendi, Bloomberg, these are the companies that had the content right. And then new generation came. Online service companies became bigger than the newspaper company. For example, Yahoo, Skype, Tweet, Facebook, eBay, Amazon, YouTube, these are the online services companies, right? And Yahoo was was getting a service of Google, and Google was giving service to Yahoo, hired by Yahoo. But now Google is bigger than Yahoo. You know why? Why is it that Yahoo became smaller and the Google became bigger? That's because Google has more data. Yahoo didn't have collected data. Google collected it. That's why Google became the larger company than Yahoo. Okay. And next generation enabling technology service came along, like a PayPal. You pay the money through the electronic device. And we also use the something like cell phone to do everything. I go convenience store. I don't need a wallet. I just use my cell phone to pay it. These are the enabling technology services. Next thing is connectivity companies. These companies, AT&T, we used to make phone call using a traditional phone style. But then we using the phone to make a phone call, and the service has grown up to connect more people. See, I am talking to you and you are here in Indonesia, and this is connectivity we are having. We use Zoom to make a presentation, and also we see each other. This is connectivity. So from the content to online and technology connectivity and more of the user interface using the phone service, which is Apple, and here also virus protection. These are the new services coming along with the development of the world. Okay. And now the point goes, why do we have to concern? Why do we have to concern is here. In 2016, global economy of digital is 15.5% only. Means other than this, 85% is trade of goods, right? But in 2025, the global economy in digital will grow up to 25%. Here, 24.3%. That means only 75%, which is 10% growth of the digital economy and 10% shrinking of the trade in goods. Does it mean anything to you? That means if you are making something, like you are making clothes, then it is counted is as a trade if you sell it to another country, right? But more of the trade become digitalized throughout the new years coming. But why we are talking is that when we sell goods, we pay tax. But in international trade, if they wire it, something like, I give an example. So I tape something. I sang a song and I recorded it in a CD. In a CD, I sell and I pay tax. But if you record it MP4 and then just send it to your friend, you don't pay tax. So these are two different things. And US is asking all the countries to have this international transfer of the e-commerce to be free of the tax. Why? Because US has more of the intellectual property and also the contents. They're generating more of the contents than any other countries does. So that's why they want to send more of the movies here. I just show you the video, right? The drama. Did I pay tax to show it to you? No, I didn't. No, I didn't, right? So this kind of trade make easier for the when there are so many content, but there are places they don't want to share content, then their companies and business are shrinking. The reason Korea culture is exploring is that people in Korea like to share what I am doing. And Indonesia is also is a very popular sharing the pictures. Every 3 steps you take a picture.
Yeah,
So
that's
content,
true.
yeah,
100%
that
true.
yeah, 100% true. Yeah. So content, right? If that become the product and the point of trade, Indonesia will be very great, and that is one of the reasons why Korea become popular. If there are no internet, then Korea is a still small country just sharing each other. But since the culture can be shared through the electronic commerce, electronically through the YouTube and others, that's why it is possible for us to have content right and others. Okay. And then going to the interest party. This is just a sample of it. Why we are concerned is that there are so many interest parties and regulatories. They want to uh, regulate the data, but there are so many different views. We already talked about EU and US, China has a different views, right? And also the government has a different views and the business owners have different views. But why do they have a different views, and what's at the point is this one. Data governance, they want to do it in uniform way in international society. However, here, discriminatory treatment of digital goods and services. I gave you an example that if I record my song and in a CD, it's good, right? It is good. I can sell it. But if I wire the song I recorded, this is a good or a service. But does it even matter? When you download it from YouTube, when you have to pay it, do you consider it is good or services, or you only consider, oh, how much is it? Do I have to pay or not? Actually, you
Depend on
don't care.
how it's depend on how I really want that kind of content.
Yeah, right. So if the content is really necessary, I have to pay without paying attention to whether this is a good or a services, right? But in terms of the having categorizing the service or and the goods in the government, they care a lot. Government has to know whether this is a good or services, and different taxes apply. If it is good, the percentage of goods are certain percentage. And if it is a service, the percentage is also different. So government is interested in how much of tax this year we are going to get. But as a consumers, we really don't care. It's a cheaper, it's much better, right? Yeah. And it is also necessary and cheaper, it's much better, right? But for the government, they care. Here, it comes to the duties. I just talked about the tariff and tax on the digital goods and services. Different countries have different views, and government and consumers have different views. And if so, foreign investment restriction also applies to goods and services. And if it is categorized in a different way, their investment is also different. It is a very sensitive issue, even though the service itself to the consumer seems very smooth these days. Okay, and next one is a localization barrier. This one goes back to the first issue we have discussed it, right? Let me read it to you here. Data localization requirements prohibiting cross-border flows and requiring the use of a local server for data storage or processing. I'll give you an example. In China, Chinese government requires that any of the company using the Chinese citizen personal information, the government asks to have server in China, and only in China the server can store the information of Chinese people inside of China. That is called data localization. And they will not allow this server information to go out abroad. Yeah. So this limitation or no access to foreign government procurement, this is the market that is a very big, but not only in China, but other countries also requiring this data localization. This is kind of trend that when government try to protect the personal information, privacy of citizens, they tend to require data localization. This becomes the barrier of the trade and also international relations because the server is a good. When the server, big box style server with a computer, they stay inside and this is a tangible, you can touch it, right? So it is, when you require this stays in China or in Korea, this localization require that the server, you have to buy it there, right? So that's the limitation. And also here, second requirement is requirement for use of local technology, meaning if it is in Korean case, then maybe the server has to locate in Korea, and also they use, please use Neighbor or Kakao for to this server to run, right? And this is similar to having a monopoly of the company used in that territory. That means that the venture companies in a smaller size cannot go through another country for giving service because there is a monopoly already in different territory. So that is also the concern. And the third one is a privacy regulation. Every country has a different privacy regulation. If one has a GDPR standard up to that high restriction, then in addition to having tax and localization barrier, having privacy regulation, if you're a business owner, it will be really impossible to go through the market. It's a market barrier, okay? And third barrier I'm going to talk about is technology barrier. Something like a restriction or prohibition on the use of inscription means that the government, for example, in China and also the Korea, may require here source code. Are you familiar with the source code? Source code is how you make your program. When you make if you are a computer programmer, you make it, right, with the coding. And you have to reveal how you made this program. Then you cannot get the money. You have to sell the program that nobody knows. but you have to open it, then how can you become richer over this program? But the government requires source code free of charge. Why? But this is kind of a requirement that the government is asking. So this source code technology, IPR transfer requirements are the barrier to discussion and the development of data governance. And also local testing and certification for importing information. These are all barriers to distinguishing goods and services of the data. At this point, I'd like to point out, do you think Wi-Fi signal is a good or data or service? Wi-Fi signal. Wi-Fi signal, is it good, service, data, or information? What do you think? Let me ask you again. Do you think electricity is a good or service?
A service.
It seems like a service, right?
Yeah. For my opinion.
Yeah, because we cannot see electricity. If you can see electricity, you get electric shock. Right. So once you see it, you are already dead. Maybe you survive, but it's a really good shock. So electricity is something you cannot see. So it seems like it is service, but different country has a different view. In the US, electricity is a service or good. Let me just share the case first here. Let me go back. Let's go down a little bit. Here, this is the position of EU. Electricity, FIT is a subsidy. So electricity case, ECJ means European Court of Justice. El Mello case here in 1994. So going back a long time ago, it said 28 in community law, electricity is thus regarded as good under the community's tariff. You know why EU said electricity is good? Because they want to have it taxed. At that time, service has a really low charge of tax, so they have to put the electricity as a good. Otherwise, it's hard to calculate amount of tax they're going to put it in. So that's why EU said electricity is a good. However, here, EU said digital product is not suitable for HS. HS means harmonized system, which means that every good, they number it from number 1 to number 1,000, number 10,000, they have number. For example, this pen is HS code 321, something like that. This pencil, the encoder is pencil bag is a number HS 32105, something like that. If you have HS code, this is a good use. So EU said, even though electricity is a good, EU said this is a good is not suitable for HS. That means it is not a good, it is service or something similar to data. But US said, you cannot discriminate goods and services. And here, let's apply principle of technological neutrality. This is a very important concept, principle of technological neutrality. This means that traditionally, if it is good, then now we should not discriminate even though we change group or category to service. So same treatment to goods and services. The purpose of this is having same text. But US and the WTO considers electricity as intangible goods. But it seems like EU isn't the same thing, but EU has changed the position. EU said, before we said electricity is a good, but not anymore. EU said digital product, which means that the Wi-Fi, digital signal is not the goods. This is not the goods. This is a service, and this is just signal, not the goods. I'm keep saying they are distinguishing this because of different texts and different treatment later on. Okay, kind of difficult, right? Yeah, because there are so many interest parties here. So going back, and if you want to solve the problem of data, you have to know all of these WTO regulation. Even though we are using the music stream, downloaded, enjoying it, behind the story is they are concerning with GOT, ITA, GET, TRIPS, TBT. These are the layers. Let me point out, if you look at the left side of the screen, this is that the layer component, and they divide it into three: contents of the music and technological perspective, infrastructure perspective. It is content, it could be good, entertainment, book, film, music, game, television. And if it is telecommunication, it relates to the access to network, email, and VoIP, etc. This is all making different HS code, and they like to text it through categorization. If it's financial services, for example, if you're paying insurance money to your insurance company, it used to be considered the service, but now it is considered part of financial service, not the service itself. So if you pay it, payment itself is financial service, and also payment is a financial transaction. And if it is technological part, IP address, domain name, software, these are the technological part. So you see TRIPS and TPT regulation. Content, you see the GET and GOT. And also part of it TRIPS. And infrastructure, you also have to look at the TBT regulation, GOT, ITA, GOT, TRIPS, and these GETs also. So this is a very complex matter of how you use data and make profitable over having business. And it seems like a too broad sense. Let me make it closer to interest of the Indonesian part. Okay. Here, let's go to the text part again. In 1998, every country in WTO gathered together. They made the customs duties moratorium. That means that without, let me just read it to you, without prejudice to the outcome of the work program of the rights and obligations of members under the WTO agreement, we also declare that members will continue their current practice of not imposing customs duties on electronic transmission. You get it? This means that when we send email, they didn't put the text to me. They didn't pay tax to you. So this is a moratorium, means that, or saying it together, said, oh, no tax to the electronic transaction. So if I send the MP4 file, no tax. But if I send the CD, tax, because it is good. So it is part of custom duty moratorium. But developing countries' government finance rely on custom duties heavily. So most of the developing countries rely on the international trade. Here, to be exact, 64.5%, that is revenue of the 100%, mostly in developing country. So if the government cannot put the tax on the electronic transaction, Indonesia will be affected by the not having tax on the electronic transaction. For example, Netflix is in Indonesia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if Netflix does not pay any tax to Indonesian government, and Indonesian government is just watching, and if they don't receive any tax from the Netflix, is it beneficial to the Indonesian citizens enjoying the movies and dramas? Government has to receive money from the Netflix because they're getting benefit. How much do you pay to the Netflix?
It
depends on
yeah. Okay,
yeah.
Sinarno.
Yeah. You two are very good at knowing the social aspect of it. Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, it depends on their kind of in Netflix.
Services.
Yeah, there is services, so you
Yeah.
can have like like premiums, or and when you buy that premium, you can get some certain access, and also when you buy, like unique in Indonesia. One of the things that I just found in Indonesia, mostly people make it a business out of Netflix service. So
not only Netflix, Mas Yonarno.
Yeah,
not only
other
Netflix, but any kind of like
Yes.
Spotify, even
Spotify,
Disney,
HBO,
Hotstar,
yes,
anything.
kind of, yeah. They
Okay.
put it like we can buy them not as a private service, but sharing service. So like every individual can share like one account for Netflix, then we'll pay cheaper.
So 4 person can share the
Yes.
one account.
Yeah.
And that person can also share it and watch it together.
Yes.
Yeah.
And mostly they are sold by Instagram and any social media account that is sharing. And I'm wondering that they said it's illegal, and I'm not sure with that. Is there any agreement between the people who sell that Netflix sharing? Then to Netflix itself. Right?
Yeah, I see two things. One is depend on whether Indonesian government is charging Netflix to pay it. Indonesian government must get the tax from the Netflix, because Netflix is definitely having business in Indonesia territory, right? If the Indonesian government is not receiving any tax from the Netflix, it's like just having pleasant time in Indonesia. They are become a millionaire in the Indonesian, because Indonesian people are paying it, but government is not getting anything. But I think it is I'm assuming that Indonesian government not yet have received the money from the Netflix,
No,
because
because not many long time ago, many months ago, that Netflix come to Indonesia, and the service here still block it, and then for I forgot what months. I think last year we one of the provider is unblocked it, so we can watch Netflix now. Before we can, so we use that kind of Netflix that sell by online services.
I see. So it's the same case in Korea. In July, the service provider, telecommunication service provider called SKT. We have a big three telecommunications providers. One is KT, second is SKT, third one is LG U plus. And SKT is the one providing the cable under the sea. So Netflix is using this cable of the SKT under the sea. And they had a dispute over this whether Netflix is paying SKT for using this cable. But Netflix didn't pay it until last July, this July, 2021 July. Even though Netflix service was a long time ago provided to the Korean citizen. And then SKT made a lawsuit to the Netflix, and Netflix said, we don't have to pay because we paid already to the company in Singapore. Because that's the starting point of this cable connected to Korea. And Netflix said, since we paid the company in Singapore at the beginning point of cable, we don't have to pay the cable at the end of the cable company, which is SKT. And the Netflix lost. So from now on, SKT is receiving money from the Netflix for using this cable line. I think Indonesia also, the telecommunication company also has to make a lawsuit to the either Disney or the Netflix to make it possible to receive the money. And after receiving this tax money or the commission money, then they can return to the citizen for having a better services. So far, not many countries has the regulation enforcing the tax to these kind of multinational companies, unfortunately. So if there is no law, they cannot win. So once the law has changed it, and then the company can make a lawsuit, and then they can get the money from it. So this is the reason that you have to know how much is the revenue Indonesian government is getting from the e-commerce. And if it is become heavier and larger, then you have to have a better law, including the having e-tax, including the Google tax. The Indonesia putting the Google to pay it, I think, I know. So, but US is enforcing that this moratorium to be permanent, because you know why the US is trying to get this deal is that What's the company they are having? Facebook, Google, Amazon. These are the companies paying tax to US. US government does not want this company to pay to another country, so less tax to US. That's why the US is keep pushing other countries to have a permanent moratorium, meaning that no tax to electronic transfer. Then the US government is having more tax through their companies. If these companies are paying tax to other countries, less tax to US. That is the problem of the US government. Right? But things change it. This is a market change one. Now, internal tax has been discussed, and now in May, OECD people gathered together. This one is in March 2021. This is a digital service tax in US announced. Let me enlarge it here. Digital service taxes in Europe says it is announced, proposed, implemented digital service tax in abbreviation DST in European OECD countries as of March 23rd, 2021. This here, the pink one is already having a tax law. Green one is trying to imposing it at the parliament, now at the parliament stage. And the blue one is the government has announced it, saying that they will adopt it. And other countries does not even have a digital tax yet. That means that even if there is a service through the Netflix, no tax to them. Google, no tax to them. Amazon, no tax to them. So far, this is a change, and Indonesia have the law on paying internal tax now. It's a good news, unless you are getting tax from Google. Okay, so far here, Australia taxed it 5%. So you can check how much, what's the percentage of Indonesian government's revenue through this tax rate. Okay. Australia is having 5% for online advertising. Okay. And Belgium put 3% for selling of user data. So I'm going to go back to the issue. Hold on. I'm going to go back to the question that we had, whether selling it one account of the Netflix to others is illegal or not. I'm going to discuss it later. But first, tax. Okay, Belgium put 3% of tax for selling of user data. If you have unlimited data, you can somehow possible to give it to someone else, share the data, you know, like a hotspot, right? So this selling of a user data also you get paid tax 3%, and maybe the Netflix sharing can be taxed through the selling of a user data. Your government can also put the tax on them, and also have to make a legalized of the service. So far, I don't think there is a regulation. Okay, France put 3%, Spain put 3% or so. Turkey is a very aggressive, giving 7.5% of tax to the Google online service, including advertisement, sale of content, and paid service on social media website. So they have to pay tax a lot, and Turkey is now getting a lot of revenue from the multinational companies. To protect the citizen and revenue, government has to enforce this very aggressively because citizens are paying money. And government is entitled to receive part of the benefit that Google is having it. Google is not the government. Indonesia has the self government. Government has the bigger law of getting tax from them. UK is, however, putting 2% of it. So these are something that the uh, the government officers must have interested in having bigger revenue of it. Okay, now who can be beneficial to the having internal tax? This is a new statistic here. E-commerce power. Who's buying online the most? I think it's Indonesia.
Yeah.
Indonesian people
We'll
buy a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shop.
Yeah. How much did you spend per monthly for buying it online? A lot.
Not really. When I was younger, maybe, but now I'm not, because I'm making money on my own though.
Yeah. So during the COVID, the rank had changed a little bit. Surprisingly, the New Switzerland people buy online the most in the world. And second is Netherlands. Third is Denmark. Fourth is Singapore. Fifth is UK. Sixth, Germany, Finland, Ireland, Norway, and Hong Kong at the lower part. And also Korea is buying a lot. Even I buy breakfast online. They will have it delivered in the morning at 3 a.m., 6 a.m. They deliver it online, but we are at the 18th. So it means Malaysia at the 30th, and I'm sure Indonesia will catch up only now, soon. So it seems like Switzerland people are not buying any offline. They're buying a lot online here. So if they paying tax, the government is asking tax to those people who are doing online business. For example, Amazon. Switzerland is getting a lot of revenue, right, from Amazon. Netherlands is getting a lot of revenue from Amazon. Although Amazon is a company of the US, Amazon has to pay tax to Switzerland. So tax law is really making a strange turn of this e-commerce also. And the government now has to think not only domestic companies, but those multinational companies can make our country revenue. Think outside the box now. And how this is relate to the government behavior is that now government is more interested in multinational companies, right? And then the local companies will have a more business with the multinational companies. So you have to have bigger size company. Indonesian government need to make a bigger size the company to work with the multinational companies, right? So that's the point of a government of the Indonesia now. Okay. So that's the point of the text. And going back to the point of what is it? What's the data? Now, we have to decide what is the data, then the government can make a regulation. Let's see, what is data? GDPR at the first day we had talked about it. GDPR is a personal data, means any information relating to an identified or identifier nature person, right? Identifiable natural person is one who can be identified, going backward, directly or indirectly, in particular by reference to an identifier such as name, an identification number, location data, an online identifier, or to one or more factors specific to the physical, genetic, mental, economic, cultural, social identity of a natural person. So GDPR is basically protecting information, right? And then in a UN ISO system, there's what is information? They said information is a knowledge concerning object such as fact, event, things, process, idea, including concept that within a certain context that has a particular meaning. And data is information. So here we are beginning to end in circle. As the information is a data and data is information. And data protection is protecting data, which is information, right? But government cannot make up their own mind. Is it data or the information totally 100% equal or not? So Korean government decide to include both. They said in the first time said digital content means data or information such as code, character, figure, colors, voices, sound, images, including complex thereof, produced, processed in digital form to enhance effectiveness of a preservation and use. So digital contents means data and also information. Then we have to go back to whether this is goods or services. I'm going back again. I'd like to share the HS code here. HS code is very similar to UN CPC version, CPC code. CPC is this Provisional Central Product Classification. UN had made every good, including the pencil and cell phone, put the number and made the classification. Maybe pencil is a 32107, 5-digit CPC number here, and starting with the here CPC, you know what it is. Information and Communication Technology. These are ICT term is very important these days. You have to know it. ICT products must primarily be intended to fulfill or enable function of the information processing and the communication by electronic means, including transmission and display. This means cell phone service. Okay, so under the ICT title, computer and peripheral equipment is number CPC 54142. Communication equipment is 46921. You don't have to remember it. You have to know whether all the equipment or the services relating to the data is listed in CPC and also HS. If it is listed, that means it will be text. Okay, and consumer electronic equipment and telecommunication services also text and number 84, private network services 8414, data transmission service 8415, and this subclass includes other telecommunication services 8419 and blah 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 blah. So since the technology develops, you cannot make this number right away. There is a committee member making the number, putting the number when new technology appears, right? And until the number is given, the service is not tax free, right? So this is a system whether the goods or services they have to consider. Okay. Yeah. So far, I have talked about the data and data services and information with the example of Netflix and nice discussion with the guys and also the concern of the different countries and different interests. If you have a question regarding this data concerns and let me know. We can discuss situation of the Indonesia. Yeah. Do you have a question regarding it? Data governance? Not really.
Do you have any question, guys?
No.
Is anybody has question?
It's a third day and everybody kind of tired.
Can I think I don't have a question, but I can sharing maybe.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Professor, I have friend from China,
Uh-huh.
and really difficult when I want to talk because application is really different. In Indonesia, we have many application, right? Like WhatsApp, and then maybe we can talk with Zoom like this, Instagram and anything. But in China, it's really difficult because it's really different system. Just only have WeChat, and then Kiki, Baidu, no Google. And then it's really make me excited is TikTok. In China is Douyin, but in Indonesia and Korea or anything, and other country is the TikTok. So it's really different, right? And when we want to sharing with other in a Chinese friend, it's really difficult to, because we can't use that application, but the Chinese people can use my application in here. So what do you think about that?
Yeah. In July, I totally agree with that feeling, and you must have a good friend in China. I do too. But it's hard to make a conversation over everything, in every media using that media, because it seems like every conversation we are having, even though we are just individual, governments seem to care what kind of comment we are making and what kind of a word you are using. It seems like they are censoring everybody. So in July, I had international symposium with the Chinese university professors, but through the Zoom, I could not see them. I saw them, but only in picture. They could not make a speech through the Zoom. They said that's in some place it was possible, but in some reason it's blocked. So suddenly their discussion stopped and we could not go on because some kind of a signal blocked by the government. So that, what do I think? It depends on the government. So I feel really happy that I can talk about anything through my lip if I say anything, can you guess someone come over to me and beat me up or take me to somewhere else and they will arrest me for whatever I say. So I'm not afraid of the conversation I'm making, but it could be possible I get arrested. If you are with the country of that kind of situation, I'm sure I will be the same similar attitude concerning my vocabulary and my talk. But it will be better. We because the reason I'm saying is we are facing the similar situation with the North Korea. And if we say concerning North Korea, I can be somehow censored. I can feel something. So, but then again, I heard that North Korean people are watching Korean dramas a lot. They are buying Korean products outside the market in China. So someday citizen will win. That's my hope. Isn't that your hope too? Sharing information with your lovely friend in China. I have so many friends in China. I like to talk to them in person. Anything.
Yeah, thank you, Professor. And then I'm really jealous with the signal and data because in Indonesia we need to pay every month or every week for the data, but in there it's a one number and unlimited access, and it's really good. But in Indonesia we need to every week pay to buy the data signal. It's really make me poor.
Yeah. But then again, Korea has a problem of addiction, data addiction. And
Even here, if we're out of service of our out of data, we're like a primitive people.
I see, I
Yeah.
see, I see. Yeah, we most of the expense of the monthly payment to data service is getting larger here in Korea too, and kids are addicted to the content, so they are uh, honestly and unfortunately, and surprisingly, Korea is the number one country having suicide over the stress, over the study, and also some kind of digital addiction. They cannot, they get confused over real life and cyber life.
Yeah. Oh, I'm really like Korea. It's not only about boy group or girl group, but Korea have many things and really interesting.
Yeah, please come on. I like to see you here too. Please.
I've
I
been
want
there
to
like 7 years ago. I've been to
Yeah, it's
Korea.
nice.
Kirim
Okay.
ya panjenengan.
Yeah, I never been there. I never been to Korea before, but I love the culture. I love the food, and I love the way Mbak Putri obsessed with me. I think that's my picture in your background, right?
I got Mas
Yeah.
tolong ya.
It's a
Professor.
Gyeongju.
I'm
It's a
joking.
Gyeongju.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
Like every
Because
guy in
Korea,
Indonesia
I
now,
have a
like want to
business.
be.
Because Korea, I have a business in Indonesia, small business. Because Korea, I have inspiration. Because Korea, so now I have a business, food, Korean food.
Oh, that's
That's
very
cool.
nice.
Nice.
That's very
Yeah,
nice.
I want to try sometimes.
You will come here.
Yeah, if
Oh
you
yeah, we're
buy
gonna
me a
meet.
kampung, I'll go. I really like kampung.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Okay, is there another question, guys? From student, maybe another student. Do you have any question?
okay. So it seems like talking about digital trend and data governance seem very used to the people there, and the complex matters concerning the government will be handled by the regulatory matters there, and citizen will be, and including the student, you have to petition these important matters to the government for having internal tax and making better regulation. And here now, Indonesia is number 6 in trade, number 10 in trade. Do you know? Indonesia is that large company, that large country with a commercial transaction. Now the transaction is moving to paperless, meaning that without paper, they're all making the transaction. So here, how is the data governance is relating to the transaction will also give you an idea of business. Here, commercial transaction, offer, purchase, order, invoice is now paperless. Korea is also the part of it. Government is making all commercial transaction paperless, meaning that if you are human making the paper and write it here, you can fabricate, you can change the content. But if you make it online, it's evidence 100%. You cannot make it fabricated. So that's why it is also relate to the corruption, and also it is relate to the transparency. If you want to make your government transparent, you have to make it e-commerce and e-government. Then your government will not be able to have any corrupted activities in any way. I'm not saying government is corrupted. In case of Korea, we are facing many of the government public officers making fake documents, and we are very stressed out over those activities. We could not believe they have done something. Still, a small portion of the money they've taken is unacceptable for Korean people. Okay, now the transport, bill of landing, insurance policy, logistics providers, these are all online. And another thing is official control measures, ministry, customs, here including sanitary, phytosanitary certificates and conformity certificate, certificate of origin, export, import license. This should be also paperless. Indonesia is popular for halal certificate, right? For us to sell anything in Indonesia, Korean government, Korean companies has to have a halal certificate to be sold in Indonesian soil. But having official document of a halal certificate in Indonesia, the regulation is really high. So there is the one in Korea, they give a certificate of the Malaysian certificate of halal is not that difficult, because the Malaysian halal regulation allows to have electronic gun to be used in killing of the animal. But Indonesian regulation does not allow electronic gun. And when they kill the animal, they have to say Bismillah, right?
Bismillah.
Bismillah.
Yeah, Bismillah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without saying it, it is impossible. And also the regulation is, if the person who, there is a certain major, they will allow the person have to graduate certain major in a university to have it that job.
That
Fluttering.
license. Yeah.
So the standard was so high. A Korean government also wanted to have build one village, a halal village for making those halal products. But it was really hard to find someone with the major Muslim and having no electronic gun, only having it hanged and had all the blood out without any touch was really hard. So the government finally gave up. We couldn't make the village, halal village. So this then the company, they have to go to Indonesia for getting the certificate. But Indonesian certificate is not e-certificate. We have to go to the government. It's a paper. So that is why having this certificate system in Indonesia is hard. If you make it e-commerce possible, then Indonesia trade will be larger and also much better form for the data governance. Okay. Also trade financing these days, Bitcoin and those kind of new inscripted coins are popular, and people are trying to use that coin because they don't want to open their financial situation to government. There are so many people don't want to reveal their financial situation to the government. They want to have money, but they don't want to share information with the government. So in this part, it's another topic, but trade financing in banking, they're also transiting to e-commerce. So people can do the transaction fast and transparent without corrupting it, without corrupted activities. So that's the purpose of having all this data governance, and that's a relation to us. Okay. Yeah. That's my presentation for today. And in wrapping up, this is the last part. This is a regional trade agreement on progress. If you have a time and if you're a student interested in trade and data, these are the agreement you have to look it up. First thing is CPTPP, and party is Canada, Mexico, Chile, Peru, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Singapore, Brunei, Vietnam, Malaysia. Korea is not here, and Indonesia is not here. But this CPTPP is really important in terms of data governance. And then, since the US and EU has a different position, US just posted it in 2020, USMCA. And the party is US, Canada, Mexico, like a NAFTA. US had led the trade agreement called the NAFTA. And after that, Mexico became poorer because of the trade agreement. Yeah, it's unfortunate. But then again, now Mexico is in again with the data using USMCA. Another progress Japan is making is a US-Japan USJDTA, which is a concern for the data trade agreement. And now the head of it is Singapore. You have to pay attention to the Singapore. Singapore is trying to get attention of data governance in the world, and they announced it. And New Zealand followed up with Singapore with the DEPA. If you look it up, you will get the full agreement of it. This is very important. In 2021, January. And the last one heading up is Singapore and Australia, SAEDA. These are the agreement. I hope you are interested. And for the data governance, your life will be changed. If you know about the data, change of the data market, you can be rich, actually. If you're not paying attention to it, just living the same life as it is, world is changing and we can be behind. So pay attention to the data governance. I hope you do all that. Yeah. Okay. So
Okay, Prof.
yeah. This is my phone number and email address. You can send me any of the questions you have. And now I just mention your university name or this event name. Then I can see where I get where you got the information. Yeah. And I have a last video clip. Should I run, Professor?
Yes, Prof. Sure.
Yes, it's a pleasure.
Okay, so this is a little bit different to make sure we enjoy our lecture and our sharing of each other. Okay, the same music. Yeah. So thank you for joining, sharing our experience together. I enjoyed the really, yeah, a lot.
Thank you, Prof. We really appreciate at your guest lecture and we really enjoyed.
Me too.
Hopefully we
Professor.
can meet and have another event with Janabadra University.
Yeah, I love the students of Janabadra students. They're very bright and really happy to see them.
Yes, right. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
nice
you.
day, guys.
You too.
So
Love
see
you
you at
guys.
another event.
Yeah, thank you.
Love you. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you so much, Professor. Terima kasih.
Terima
Kamsahamnida.
kasih.
Terima
Terima
kasih.
kasih.
Terima kasih.
After graduate, I will go to Korea.
Yes, I
Yeah.
follow you.